Carrying the load. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Why your partner disrespects you and how you have the power to influence a different lifestyle, a different adventure for your marriage. Will this work for me? Stop sending miles of text messages. Your wife withholding sex from you. Truth, integrity, moving fast, and sound decisions. Carrying the load. Guys, welcome to the Morrow Marriage podcast, guys. This is another one of my viral posts. Essentially, this one, I think we've done well over 3 million with a recent version of this reel between TikTok and Facebook. Okay, why? It always does well, and it's because I'm pretty clever with how I wrote the thing. You know, I talk about. Clever. Thank you. It's not to manipulate or trick you guys. It's just to express all the loads that a wife or a woman has to carry in the home, especially if she has a workload, and especially when I should say, she has her husband come home and she's got to carry his load. And all we know is the punchline that he wants to just blow his load. Okay. Why is this important? Because the amount of men who still feel so entitled, mega viral. We've gone mega viral. I think 110,000 followers and we're in February, and like, essentially we still have so many men who think, but I still fucking pay. I understand you pay, and I understand why you think this is so important. But for the love of God, does anybody know how to read a clock? These men, are you that stupid? Like, your day is typically 8 hours, and I fucking love it when I get a guy who's like, yeah, you don't even know, I work, and they defend the amount of hours, and it's always like 10, 12, or 14-hour days. Man, I did 18 hours on a fucking Sunday to get a new fucking video out for you guys. Like, that was one day of the week. I'm like, fuck, what the, you know what I mean? It just drives me mental. And I still manage to get in there and help my wife. Okay? Granted, a day like that where I'm hyper-focused, not so much. But in general, I like to be involved. But Kathryn does take care of more. I get it. But man alive, honey. Well,
that's the choice that we make. Mm-hmm. You choose to work more. I choose to spend more time with the children and take on. I don't like doing laundry, but you know what? Someone has to do it. And if he's working, then that's what I'm going to do. I don't know why there's a disconnect for people.
Because, see, we are connected and we can have those conversations where you have a man who's working let's pretend he's working 18 hours a day, okay? Coming home, but he's still throwing his fucking laundry on the floor instead of in the hamper, still expecting it to be done, still kicking his feet up and relaxing. Because let's get real. Most people aren't working 18-hour days. Like, let's get fucking real.
Most people work 8-hour days. And after COVID, most people don't even work 8-hour days.
That's so real.
They come and go as they please.
That's so real. And even if you're working 2 jobs, like, you got to learn to work smarter, not hard. Like, so go to a
If you didn't have a wife, you'd still have to do your own laundry.
That's the fucking point. Like, she has to carry all the loads. Like, when I list it all off, the emotional load is something I think that no mother, no matter how much, like, you wanted to be a mom bad.
Yes.
No matter how much you want that, you cannot prepare yourself for the emotional load of your children, even if it's just one. They're all their own little self-entitled fucking narcissists, roller coasters, and it's worse than, well, I was going to say worse than Ryan. No, couldn't do, because I was definitely the same throughout the day. I was the most like a toddler, actually. Okay. So, she's dealing with all those emotions. A woman doesn't get the time to do. You get up 2 hours early. We talked about this recently. You get up 2 hours early to do a lot of what you want to do. Or, if you can't sleep, you get up and do it. Mm-hmm. Like, because, she knows that she wants to be there and present for the children as much as she can. Okay. And then, a lot of moms are homeschooling now. Then that's it's even more. But, and then you have like, the groceries, the marketplace pickups, dealing with everything. Let's get real. Most guys, you don't understand. Using the clock again, how can that even be a thing where you're like, I work today and it's done? Never mind that I always say that too, if you have to do it when she leaves you and you're single. But like, how many times are you stepping over like the thing that the kids kids, we're still working on getting our kids put the garbage in the garbage.
Oh my gosh.
Like, come on.
It's a battle.
And what do? You yell and you cause more tension instead of just.
Well, and I teach my wives, I'm glad you're passionate about this. I teach my wives the opposite. If you are home with the kids, you've chosen to be home with the kids, you've chosen to homeschool, you've chosen to have more children, you don't have a house cleaner, you're doing all of it. If you're doing all of it, then do all of it. You're both working 8-hour days. You've chosen to be the one that has the schedule with your kids. And so if your role, putting air quotes up, is to do the laundry and clean the house, then don't expect for your husband to do it. You have to it comes down to having an agreement. Mm-hmm. I would be so weirded out if you all of a sudden swept and mopped the floors and did the laundry.
There's been times where I jump in and do it, and you're just like, babe,
I know it's been a while, but I'll get to it. Sometimes
that's what you say.
If he needs his laundry done because he needs gym clothes, sometimes he'll do the laundry. That's mostly what you'll do. But and he used to vacuum because I hate vacuum cleaners. Yeah. I hate vacuum cleaners. And so there would be times when he would jump in and do things like that. The vacuuming was something that was his job. Now that we don't have a vacuum, that's not his job anymore. He's not going to sweep the floor unless it really needs to be done. But anyway, we have our roles set out where I'm not going to be angry if he doesn't help with the laundry. I'm not going to be bitter if he doesn't help with the floors and do the dishes. I might get frustrated if he's leaving things on the counter instead of putting it in the sink, because that's when I can't handle things on the counter. I need it to be in the sink. And I might be like, can you put it in the sink, please? But I'm not going to make him wash it. I'm not going to be mad that he doesn't. This is our agreement because we're connected. So this load thing, yes, women, we're doing everything. And I think what you were trying to get at is there's an emotional load where you're the one that's keeping track of when to order the groceries. What are we out of? How much do we need of this? What time is school pickup? What about school registration? What about activities? And that's all the timing. Whereas men, and I think this is what you were trying to say, you might be the provider, but you're going to work from 9 to 5 or whatever it is. You get that isolated time where you start work, you're done work, and then you come home and you get to put your feet up, potentially. Well, wives, if you don't want the role of managing the household and doing all of those things, then all it takes is understanding, gratitude, and often a few conversations. Because your husband probably doesn't want to do anything, because when he does come home and do it, you feel entitled. You feel entitled because you worked a full day with the kids. He worked a full day at home. He comes and does something. You feel like he should just do it, so you don't thank him. Well, you should still be thanking each other. I know that my husband makes more money than I do. I thank him for working. He knows that we chose to have children and all the things that go along with that. He thanks me for me taking most of the load in parenting. Just because I've chosen to do it doesn't mean that you forget about gratitude. Gratitude goes a really long way. So if you're feeling like you have a really heavy load, start showing gratitude for what your husband is doing during the day and connect so that at the end of the day, you can share some of those tasks. It's really not that difficult. It just takes intention. You have to show gratitude. Entitlement is it can be one of the ugliest things, and it can cause so much divide between husbands and wives.
Oh, 100%.
So if I felt entitled for you to come home and clean, well, we work from home, so we're not coming home. But in some instances, you're coming home. If I felt entitled to him doing what I've been trying to do all day and then he doesn't do it, then what happens? I'm filled with bitterness and resentment. And that's going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt him.
Well, so before we move on, let's stop right there. Both of us talk to our people about what if you're single? Like, just do it. You have to do it anyway. And both of us talk about roles. You might not be able to address that very easily. She said a couple conversations. You might not be there yet.
Yes, and it's not going to happen on the first conversation probably, because the level of entitlement has grown, the bitterness has grown.
Yeah.
You're going to get defensive, the resentment, all of that. And so the first conversation is probably going to go up in flames unless you have the skills to have the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Like, actually, this is one of those times where it'd be easier to listen to this episode with your partner and then have a conversation, because the obvious thing is, like, you're going to tie this, remember, emotionally, you're going to tie this to everything else, right? This is why sex becomes an issue. Well, I provide and you don't want me, okay, so now let's move on to the next load. So the load that you have, so what Kathryn just described was, talking about, like connecting on, what you went throughout the day. Okay. Well, men, you have to get better at talking to other men first and not stressing your wife out with your stress. Okay. But women, it's a little bit different, because men, you do need to be involved as a father. You should be partnering up with your wife. And I realize things like the dishes or the kids, you get nagged, men, for not doing it right. Well, that depends on how much you have or have not shown up, because that's not just a conversation now, it's follow through. Okay. With the entitlement in the way and the resentment in the way, I think it becomes awful. Now, I hardly talk about work with you now. We talk about work when we need to, in our strengths and what we're doing and roles. But otherwise, man, I can't
handle the stress of all. I always used to say, I can't do my job and yours too. I cannot do both of our jobs. So if you want me to do what I do well, which is the parenting and the house, and I also work, I have a company. And I also run his company. Yeah. So when he was bringing all these things to me, I was like, man, I can't handle all of this. It's impossible for me to be able to do it all. So he had to learn how to bring it to other people, unless it really involves me. It doesn't mean that he can't share. He still shares his frustrations and his wins and all the healthy things.
Of course, yeah. And I'll still share problems, especially if obviously if she can help, right? If you go back to the episode where we're talking about being partners and things, right? Like, so if you understand this, that this ties into the submitting episode where we're talking about women need to be able to be emotional. Did you hear what she said? I can't handle all of that.
Yes.
It's not a woman's job to handle all that. And men are all up in their fucking butts about how they're allowed to feel. I'm not saying don't feel. But why the fuck you're one of two men. You can either handle stress or you can't. Two, you shouldn't want to burden your wife with all that stress.
Not all of it.
The anxiety, the depression, the bullshit. You know?
You can always share with your partner. There's healthy levels of sharing and unhealthy levels of sharing, and healthy ways to process stress and unhealthy ways of processing stress. And there are different people that you can go to for different things.
That's
and
right.
I think what I was trying to say and what he's trying to really hit home for you guys is that each of you is going to have a certain capacity for what you can handle. And it's going to be different for everybody. Just like I can't handle all of his things and mine. He can't handle all of my things and his. This is why we have the roles that we have. But it comes down to being connected and making that decision together. Making the decision for who is going to handle what role, what task, what stressor, what process, all of those things, so that it doesn't drive a wedge between you. Because anything can go wrong at any point. With he works more, so it could go wrong. Something could go wrong in the business. Something could be stressful about the kids. But if we are connected...
You lost an animal on the farm today.
We lost a pet today. Oh.
Yeah.
And if we're not connected, then that's when it gives the opportunity for it to blow up in everybody's face. So when you're connected, you can deal with his stressors from work, my stressors with the kids, the farm, whatever it is.
Which is super important. Notice how this just easily flows, you guys, okay? Because the last part of the reel, that viral reel, is like, and she knows all you really care about is blowing your load later, okay? Like, listen, she mentioned the word connected. I don't know. I'm not going to go listen to it today, but like 7 times there in less than a minute and a half. Connected. How in the world can you ever get over feeling like connecting if you're not connected? How can you feel like she's going to want to be with you or he's going to want to be with you if you feel like you're not connected?
And when bitterness is driving that wedge.
Making those naggy comments, the defending yourself, okay, so realize this. This is a really good episode for you guys to just listen together. You should have it to so many of them. It keeps you on point as you do it, okay? Along those lines, guys, please leave us a 5-star review. Get this into more people's hands. We can't do it be alone, so please be this like as your first act as a leader with us changing the world. Do you have anything else you want to add right now?
No.
No? Guys, go carry your partner's loads, okay?
All of them.
Oh, I know what we should do right
Wink. I winked.
now. See you guys.
Bye.